have no flavor on this plate, none whatsoever. Okay? Right? Your meat is not done at all.
A busy city restaurant might serve 500 meals a day. A large hotel, maybe a few thousand. At Ramstein Air Base in Germany, a single dining facility serves up to 8,000 meals every single day. Across the entire U.S. Air Force, a force of 20,000 dedicated personnel executes a mission of staggering scale, serving over 50,000 meals a day, every day, without fail. This isn't a cafeteria service. This is a logistical weapon system where potatoes are as important as jet fuel, and a perfectly cooked steak is a direct contributor to air power. The pilots, mechanics, and support staff who get F-22s into the air are a human weapon system, and this is how the Air Force fuels it with unrelenting efficiency. What does it look like when an army of thousands decides to eat breakfast at the same time? It's 0500 hours at USS Gerald R. Ford. While most of the world is asleep, the dining facility, DFAC, is already at war. The lights have been on for hours. The enemy here is a ticking clock, and the impending arrival of thousands of hungry airmen on a strict schedule. Inside, it's controlled chaos. Giant tilt skillets big enough for a person to lie down in are sizzling with hundreds of pounds of bacon. Ovens the size of small cars are baking thousands of biscuits. Airmen from the service's career field, culinary professionals trained at Fort Lee, Virginia, move with a precision that borders on instinct. They have to. In the next 90 minutes, they will feed an entire wing. But how do you serve that many people without the line stretching for miles? The entire layout of a modern DFAC is engineered for speed. Multiple serving lines operate in parallel, each one a mirror image of the others. The food is positioned based on traffic flow studies. Hot items are placed where they won't cause bottlenecks, while grab-and-go stations allow airmen in a hurry to bypass the main lines entirely. The goal is to get every single person from the door to their seat with a hot plate of food in under 7 minutes. This process repeats 3 to 4 times a day, a relentless cycle of preparation, execution, and cleanup. By the time the last breakfast tray is cleared, the team is already deep in prep for the 4,000-person lunch rush. On an average day, a large base DFAC will go through over 1,000 pounds of chicken, 800 pounds of beef, and nearly a ton of fresh fruits and vegetables. And this happens at bases all over the world simultaneously. But where does a ton of fresh vegetables in the middle of a desert base actually come from? The food on the plate is the end of the story, but the beginning starts months earlier and thousands of miles away. Every single item in a DFAC, from a grain of salt to a side of beef, is part of a global supply chain of staggering complexity, managed by a little-known but critically important organization, the Defense Logistics Agency, DLA. Think of the DLA as an Amazon Prime for the entire U.S. military, but with the added challenge of delivering to active war zones and remote bases on every continent. Let's trace the journey of a single potato served at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. That potato began its life on a farm in Idaho. It was harvested, processed, and sold to a Department of Defense-approved contractor. From there, it was shipped to a massive DLA distribution center on the U.S. mainland. Here, it enters a system that tracks it with military precision. It's packaged, palletized, and loaded onto a C-17 Globemaster cargo aircraft. After a series of flights and logistical handoffs, it lands in the 120-degree heat of the Qatari desert. But it never sits on a hot tarmac. It's immediately moved into a climate-controlled warehouse, part of a cold chain that ensures food safety and freshness from the farm to the fork, no matter where in the world that fork is. That single potato has traveled over 7,000 miles, passing through a dozen checkpoints, to end up on an airman's plate. Now multiply that by the millions of pounds of food required every week. This is how you get fresh lettuce in Afghanistan and ice cream in Djibouti. It's a logistical miracle that the public never sees. It's a testament to the fact that an army and an air force truly does march on its stomach. You have thousands of pounds of food, but how do you decide what to actually cook? The food served in a DFAC isn't random. It's a carefully calibrated performance enhancement tool. The Air Force doesn't just feed its people, it fuels them. This is the science of military nutrition. Every meal is planned by military dietitians and nutritionists with one goal: optimizing the physical and cognitive performance of the airmen. To make it simple for everyone, they use a program called Go for Green. It's a color-coded system that would make a traffic light proud. Green-coded foods are high-performance fuels, lean proteins, whole grains, and fresh vegetables. These are the foods you should eat often. Yellow-coded foods are moderate performance, processed grains, slightly fattier meats. Eat them occasionally. Red-coded foods are things like deep-fried items and sugary desserts. They are performance-limiting and should be eaten rarely. Every single dish in the serving line has a color-coded label. It's a simple visual guide that allows an 18-year-old F-35 crew chief to make the same informed nutritional choices as a professional athlete. But military life isn't always about nutrition. What about morale? The planners know that food is also about comfort and tradition. This is why DFACs go all out for holidays. For Thanksgiving, a medium-sized base might prepare over 800 turkeys, 1,000 pounds of ham, 900 pies, and all the trimmings. For many young airmen, it's the first holiday they've ever spent away from home, and the DFAC's mission on that day is to provide a taste of home, which serves as a crucial boost to morale that can't be measured in calories. A permanent base is a controlled environment, but what happens when the Air Force has to set up a new base in the middle of nowhere in 48 hours? This is where the DFAC showcases its most incredible capability: expeditionary feeding. When deployed to an austere location, there are no buildings, no plumbing, and no electricity. For the first few days, airmen survive on MREs, meals ready to eat. But you can't run a high-tempo air operation on packaged food for long. This is when they deploy SPEK, the Single Pallet Expeditionary Kitchen. The SPEK is quite literally a fully functional kitchen packed onto a single standard 463L aircraft pallet. It includes refrigerators, ovens, hot and cold water sinks, and serving equipment. It can be unloaded from a C-130, set up in a tent by a team of 4 airmen in under 3 hours, and begin serving hot meals to 550 people. If you need to feed more, you just add more SPEK pallets. This is how you get a hot breakfast in a disaster relief zone or a forward operating base. The ability to go from MREs to hot, freshly prepared food in a matter of hours is one of the single greatest boosts to morale in a deployed environment. It's a psychological weapon that reminds every airman that even in the most remote corners of the world, the full logistical might of the U.S. Air Force is right there with them. The DFAC is more than a building. It's a global system of farms, cargo planes, nutritionists, and thousands of dedicated culinary specialists. But while the Air Force was perfecting the science of food, a top-secret division was trying to master the science of fear by developing a psychological weapon so strange it was designed to win a war without firing a single shot. You don't want to miss this story.